welcome to the B2B Comms Breakdown. This is our 6th breakdown, and we haven't broken down yet, have we, IO? Hopefully, hopefully this won't be the first one. Anyway, I'm Stacey Meadwell, former property journalist turned content creator, trainer and moderator, working with businesses in the built environment.
So I'm oh my God, I literally can't talk. I'm Bass. I am a marketing consultant, content creator. I speak, I train, and I do marketing stuff.
Great. And now, if you are watching live, that's going into the bloopers. If you are,
I'm telling you.
If you are watching live, please do say hello in the comments so that we know that people are watching, because we can't tell. So do wave, do a little wavy emoji or something just to say hello, so that we know
emojis.
That people...
I like that.
Yes.
How's your day going in emojis? No words. Yeah. Go for it.
Anyway, creating content takes time and effort, and there are weirdos like me and Io who absolutely love creating content. We're always fizzing with ideas, always exploring new channels, new types of content, and experimenting. But creating the content is only part of the story. In order to get your content in front of the right audiences and get it landing and delivering, you need a content strategy.
You do. So you definitely do need a content strategy. And I think one of the things we are going to be talking about content strategy for about 20 minutes. We're going to look at what is a content strategy, how to manage your marketing goals and deliverables. And we're also going to how to review your strategy and how to stay ahead. But of course, as Stacey said, we want to hear from you. So pop questions into the comments and we'll definitely talk about them.
Cool. Yeah, and if we've got some people, we've got some emojis appearing. Great, thank you, thank you, Nikki. I don't know. Is that a bat or a drag? Is that a bat or a dragon? I'm not sure, but I'm liking it. I'm liking that, Nikki.
I think it might be a bat.
Much.
Nikki. I like that. It's cool. And Ruth's just laughing at us, basically. Cheers, darling.
Right, let's crack on. Let's crack on.
Okay. So actually, before we crack on, I guess, because this is about content strategy, and then I asked you a question, which you just suddenly laughed, because I suddenly realised, my question was, do you have a content strategy, Stacey?
Do I have a content strategy? No. Well, not one that's written down anyway, which is terrible when we're going to be talking about content strategy. I don't have one that's written down, but in my head, I know what I want to do, what I want to achieve. I don't create anything without a purpose attached to it. I monitor how things are doing. So I am doing all of that, but I just don't have one actually physically written down, which maybe after this I might have to do that. What about you, Io? Do you have a content strategy?
No, I don't. But that was the thing. It was like I did do a search on my kind of drive, and I was like, do I have a content? And I literally couldn't find one. And then I realised that actually, I do have a bit in my marketing strategy that covers content. So I have content pillars and stuff, but actually, and then I know what I want to do with stuff and where I want to put it. But yeah, I don't have one either. But there you go.
Yeah, but I suppose, I was thinking about this morning because I knew we were going to talk about this, and being a solopreneur, which I hate that phrase, or working for myself, being self-employed.
Yeah. I'm
not spending thousands and thousands of pounds on a content marketing budget. So yeah. if I was, then I'd probably be a bit more formal about it. But I do think about it. I don't create anything without having given it some thought first. Anyway, so let's dive into the first actual. Now we've asked each other a question and we've exposed the lie. Let's ask the first question. What is a content strategy?
So do you know what I decided? As I was doing my prep earlier, that I would go for a definition. So HubSpot's definition, which is a content strategy, is the planning, creation, publication, management, and governance of content. A great content strategy will attract and engage a target audience, meeting their needs while driving business goals. I think that's a pretty good definition. And I hadn't really thought about the governance of content, which actually is a good point. It's an area I hadn't thought about as much. But I like the kind of, I mean, publication, I probably use the word distribution, but publication, I guess, like, is probably the proper word. But, and I think definitely when it comes to content strategy, it's that whole thing of how do you distribute it more than once in more places and you know, and keep it going and then reuse it again and distribute it again. And I think it's that kind of, you keep getting the most out of that piece of content that you possibly can. So yeah, that's kind of what the definition is. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, that sort of covers the point, because I sort of wrote a little bullet list, and I think the starting point has to be, for any content strategy, has to be the purpose. Is why are you doing it? What do you want to actually get out of it? You know, what is the end goal? What does success look like having put this content out? If you don't know what the point of it is, you know, what you actually want to deliver, how can you actually, how can you, you know, make sure that it actually delivers on your goals? So the sort of, what does success look like? And I would then work back. And part of that then is, well, who's your target audience? Who do you want to get this content in front of? Yeah. Then from that, it stems like, well, okay, what is your distribution strategy? How are you going to get it out? Which channels are you going to use? I've mentioned repurpose. I've got repurposing on my list as well. Is, you know, and I think we're going to talk about that a bit more later. But I've also added, and as Nikki has put in the comments, tracking, and I've put measuring, you know, how it's doing, because I think that's an important part of it. And I think that's going to be important when we come on to talk about sort of reviewing your strategy.
Yeah, you're right. Unless they're tracking, or unless they're including that in governance. I'm wondering though, because it's HubSpot, I'm thinking they're thinking of large firms. So I'm just thinking actually governance might be the protocols and how stuff's stored and saved and shared. You know, that all of that stuff, so that you can find the information. I think it might be that as well. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's important, particularly for repurposing, is having that library of where everything is and easy access and sort of all your templates and all of those things. So maybe that's, you know,
might be. And also if you've got freelance writers and things like that, there'll be like protocols on this and that, and the, you know, like all of that kind of governance around it. And I think that might be linked to that, I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go to the next question. So reviewing your strategy and how to stay ahead. No, that's the third question. That's my mistake. Jumping ahead there.
We are doing a blooper reel actually for next month. So
plenty of material. Forget that. I didn't say that. We won't spoil the surprise on the third question. Okay. How do you manage your marketing goals and deliverables?
Is that the second question?
Yeah. How to manage your marketing goals and deliverables. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to go first on this question.
Oh, am I? Okay.
I've got a different question. Sorry.
Have you?
I've got what is realistic and managing expectations.
Well, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing. Is actually managing. I think we changed the wording on it, and it's the how to. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I probably gave you an old version there. This is going really well. This is going really well. Okay.
So you'll have to go first.
No, I will. It's the same question, just differently worded. Okay. So how to manage your marketing goals. I mean, I think some of the things that I would throw into the mix are, do you have enough ideas? You know what you want to achieve. Like, say, for example, you're doing a campaign around a particular project and stuff. Yeah. Where are you generating those ideas from? Do you have enough ideas? You know, if you want to put a podcast out and do X number of episodes, do you have enough ideas, guests, whatever it is, to fill that many episodes. If you're putting out, a monthly newsletter or a quarterly newsletter or a weekly newsletter, do you have enough ideas? Do you know where those ideas are going to come from? There are other things like the approval process, and this comes back to sort of having, I suppose, that sort of governance really is, do you know what the system is going to be for actually getting that content created and getting it approved? How many people are going to be seeing that content? Some of the other things I think are important in terms of delivering on your goals is just to be realistic about what you can actually achieve. I think the temptation is to sort of want to do everything and do lots of different things, but actually you need some sort of consistency. And I think it's fine to start off small, okay. You want to, if your ultimate goal is to do something monthly, maybe start off quarterly, get your systems in place, get a process in place so that you can then actually properly deliver. Think about the channels and how many channels you can realistically fill. There are new social channels popping up all over the place, and the temptation is to be everywhere. But can you realistically deliver on each channel? There's no point in being on a social media channel if you're just going to drop some content on there every now and again. It's just not worthwhile. So those are some of the things. I've got more, but I'm going to pass over to you now, Aya.
So I understand what I'm doing there. So I think for the kind of goals and delivery, and I think for me, it's about, I put, one of the first things I put down was actually don't assume everyone's seen something when you only share it once. And I think in terms of your goals, to hit them, you are going to need to share that content multiple times in multiple ways. And just, and I think I often say, like, especially when I'm working on website projects, I always think, when everyone's like, oh yeah, my new website's out. I'm like, great. Now how are you going to feed it? That's basically it. How are you going to get people traffic there all the time and keep it going? And I think that's the huge thing with content, is that don't assume people have seen it just because you shared it once, or you're tired of it and you're bored of it. It's like you kind of need to keep going and sort of, talking about it in different ways, pulling out the headlines into carousels, all of that kind of stuff. So I think when it comes to goals and delivery in your strategy, it's got to be that, how do I get this out multiple times and in multiple ways, and really doing that. And I think the other thing is, like, I follow quite a few kind of SEO copywriters, and it's quite interesting. Like, there's like having that brief at the front with your goals, who you're targeting, what you want your page to achieve, actually even looking at the keywords, having that ready to go and understanding where this piece of content, and really kind of getting, I guess, granular with a framework before you even start to write. And I think that's really useful if you really want to kind of start to produce content that really delivers your business goals. And I like that about the HubSpot definition from before, is the business goals part. So like, I know some people who do not report on their likes or impressions. It's like, actually, did this content hit the key clients that we needed? Did they drive our business goals? And ultimately, do they result in work? And you're like, that's a much better conversation to be taken to senior leadership. And I think that's what you want to kind of start to drive and have the behaviors and tools and structures behind. And so your content strategy is about, how do I hit those business goals, not just about impressions. And I think like actually mapping out those steps to kind of get you from the content to actual business, I think is really important as well. So yeah, I think that's probably, that's it on that one for me. Cool.
Shall we move on now? I've already said what the final question is, but if you do have a question or a comment or a thought you want to add, do pop it in the chat. We will, try and answer any questions that do come in. So finally, we want to talk about reviewing your strategy and how to stay ahead. And I think you've kind of touched upon this a bit already. I think it's if you understand what the goals are, the metrics, like, there are a lot of vanity metrics, particularly around social media, impressions, things like that. But if your goal is to drive new business, then is it actually delivering on that? Can you actually trace back from your content? Is it, if your idea is to build your brands, position yourself as, position people in the team as thought leaders, Are they getting, because of the content that's going out in their name, is that delivering speaking opportunities? Are they getting invited into podcasts? There are all these different tangibles that come from putting content out. So I think, it's really important to review your strategy. And also I think, which channels are working? Where are these things coming from? Do you really need to be on that particular channel? I think sometimes it can be difficult to let stuff go if it's not working, because it feels like almost like a failure, really, or just keep at it. So I would say monitor what is working, what isn't working, and just let stuff go that isn't working.
But that's hard.
It is hard, but I'd caveat that by saying that make sure with any type of content is, it's not like you can do it once and it's going to be an absolute amazing success. Particularly if you're trying something new and you're trying a new channel, make sure, having your plan, having your strategy, how long you're going to give it a go. Podcasts are a really good example of this. I can't remember what the stat is on the failure rate, if that, most podcasts don't have more than 6 episodes. But if you want to build an audience and do, it's got to be something that you've got to plan. Okay, we're going to do X number of episodes of this, or, if you're building a thought leader campaign, how many articles is that going to be? How many of the thing are you going to do? Give it time. It's the same with these new channels all take time to build up. I've got more, but I'll pass over to you, Aya.
So I think analytics is one, definitely. I know. And actually, I think sometimes when I'm thinking about how I look at the stats of my LinkedIn, so yes, impressions are important, but sometimes the posts that I do aren't the popular posts, which will be this is a piece of work I've done, or this is what I do, which actually quite often those are the posts that lead towards a business conversation. They're not going to get the impressions of something else, you know what I mean? So make sure you're looking at the right metrics as well. So it's not just the high numbers, but also I think, particularly on LinkedIn for me, also look at stuff like, like sometimes they show you what companies, your top companies that are engaging with your content. Are they the right companies, the types that you want to work for? But they also show you the levels. So, you can kind of see, is it senior director? Is it directors? Is it these people? Or is it just like, lower people who aren't decision makers? So I would use stuff like that as well to kind of measure whether your content strategy is actually hitting the people that you want to hit. And then you can kind of say, actually, if I do this in my content, is that going to get me more of the right people reading my stuff? So that's on that. And also on the letting go point that you made, Stacey, which I think is absolutely true. A couple of weeks ago, I wrote a blog recently about X and what's happened at Twitter 1 year on since Elon. And I got some research done. And basically, if you like looking at the stats of Twitter, like I used to regularly get 20 to 30,000 impressions without doing anything really, just like generally just tweeting, whatever. And links into my website. But now I'm lucky if I get even a couple of hundred over the whole month. Like it's literally gone down like 100%. And I think a lot of like legacy, especially like the engineering firms and stuff I looked at, because they had huge followings, they're still posting as normal on Twitter. And you're like, you're not getting any impressions, man. Like you just look at the numbers and you're like, you might just do reposts and not even bother. And a lot of them haven't secured threads. So I think, your content strategy is going to have to move on. And like you say, let go. Let it go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I mean, in terms of because the second part of the question is how to stay ahead. It can be overwhelming when you look, I remember when it was, the options were, there was, before social media, it was probably, you would either have an event or you might put out a physical, document, a report or a newsletter or something like that. And then the internet came along and, people had websites that could put content on there. And then we've got social media. And, at first Twitter was the kind of, the main candidate for a long, long time. But now there are so many other options. And it can be overwhelming. And as you say, you can stick to ones that have always worked. But I would try and put part of your content strategy, your overall content strategy, is to explore what is out there, explore the new platforms, have a look and see what's available. Are your audience kind of gravitating to those particular platforms? If you're already on a platform, explore the new features. Somewhere a platform like LinkedIn, they're always introducing new features, and often they give a massive boost to the new feature. Remember when they introduced polls, and suddenly polls were everywhere because the algorithm would boost the new type of content. So I would, try and keep up to date with what is going on in the content world, because it might be that there's a new one to try that actually could be really, really good. It might be that there's a new feature or a new style of content that you can try that's going to be promoted really, heavily by a particular platform. It was like on Instagram Reels, when they introduced Reels, and Reels just went through the
went
through the roof.
It was like, just get it off my feed. But I was going to say as well, if you on LinkedIn, if you follow Kevin D. Turner, he's like one of those LinkedIn kind of guru type people, and he has a blog where he counts all the new features on LinkedIn in a year. And currently in 2023, as of the end of October, 150 new features on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
this year.
It's crazy.
That's mad.
It's crazy. Yeah, and because I was going to say, you can follow people like Kevin and other people that are monitoring all this, so you don't have to. That will just do a handy summary, and then you can go, well, actually, that could be potentially interesting. And the other thing I would say about content and content strategy is it can be very easy to just get stuck in your groove and be doing the same stuff. I've been there, and you're just putting out the same sort of stuff. I would recommend having a look around and seeing what other people are doing, not necessarily within your industry, but outside your industry, and keep the creative juices flowing, keep getting inspired, because it might be that another industry, someone from another industry is doing something really interesting. Actually, we could take that and we could do something similar or spin it our way. Particularly, we talk a lot about LinkedIn, but a lot of the content on LinkedIn is the same. A lot of the posts are the same type of posts. And every now and again, you'll get someone popping up who's doing something different. And it really stands out. And I think exploring those, different types of content and those different channels it should be part of your overall content strategy, because you might be missing something that actually is really effective.
Okay, and we're at the end of our questions. So does anyone have any questions that they'd like us to answer on content strategy?
Well, I'm waiting for if there are any questions. So Io, are you going to write down a content strategy now we've talked about content strategy?
If I can include it as part of my marketing strategy that I've got to write, how's that?
Yes.
So that's what I do. I am going to write a marketing strategy, so that content will be a huge part in that, and I promise to do it. And you can sign it off.
Okay, I will do that. I will sign up your content strategy. I will ask you. You can present it to me, and I'll tell you whether you've got a budget for it. She's rubbish. Yes, but who's got approval process on that?
Generally, it'll be me. Generally. Are you going to create one, Stacey?
I think I need to create a more formal one and just write down what is in my head, and just to kind of formalize it a bit. I mean, I do have like my ideas. I do have like a marketing strategy and a business development strategy, but I just haven't brought the two things kind of formally together in a document. So yeah, I think I probably need to kind of make it more formal and I think monitor it more formally, because I do check the analytics, and I do check which are the most useful platforms and sources for business and visibility. but I don't kind of write it down. I don't make a note of it. I'm just, I hop on every now and again and have a look. And I think that's maybe the bit that's missing. Anyway, brilliant. Yeah. Well, we don't have any questions. Thank you very, very much.
We do have a question.
Oh, we do. Okay. Just before we jumped off. So, do you think there's a minimum time commitment, particularly for smaller businesses, i.e. 6 months? I think this depends on the type of content.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, if you're going to do a podcast, or those, podcasts, it takes a long time to build an audience around a podcast, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. You need to do a lot of promoting. If you're just planning to do 6 episodes, I would say there are probably other, do 6 articles instead. I think if you're trying a new platform, or a new style of content on LinkedIn, then say if you're trying to do video, let's say video on LinkedIn. Okay, we're going to do video. I would probably say 6 months is probably a good time.
I think 3 to 6 months before you actually start to get traction, and because I think you start stuff and then you have to fine tune it and get it better and get it working. I really think it's that time to get it firing. I do think that's the thing. But and if it's SEO, I think SEO takes a while to build. If you're talking about website content, for example, I would say that is 6 months onwards to really start getting traffic, to start finding your stuff. And I think that's the thing. I would say.
And if you're building, like, say, if you're building, you've set up a new YouTube channel, I would say a year for that. You've got, but you've got to be posting
really regularly on YouTube.
You have to be posting regularly. If you're trying a new platform, then you've got to post. Consistency is the key with any content. You've got to be consistent, because posting like every now, LinkedIn doesn't work if you jump on and post once a month. It's not going to deliver. So you've got to do something that you can do consistently. And give it enough and I would say depends on the type of content and the platform as to how long. I mean, if you were doing sort of a series of articles around a particular topic, again, have a number in mind, but just make sure you promote them really, really well, and they're on the platform where they're going to get the best, the biggest number of eyeballs.
Awesome. Any other questions, anybody?
No.
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, Jeffrey. As someone reluctant to commit to longer term, that is an issue. That is an issue. But unfortunately, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there are any quick wins with content.
No.
So
unless the only way is if you put money behind it.
Yeah.
Really. I think if you want to fast track implement it, like take up, is put money behind it.
But I would just add, because we're nearly at half an hour, so we won't take up any more of too much more of people's time. But I would add, if you're going to do something, do it well. So say, for example, you do want to do a podcast. It's like, well, okay, what other content can we get from that? Because you're not just producing a podcast. It's like, well, how many LinkedIn posts can we get out of that? How can we splice and dice create audiograms? If you're doing video podcast, you can use the video. You can turn it into articles. Don't just think of it as like, okay, we're going to do a podcast. Think about all the different content that you could get from that. It's like these lives. We do them once a month, but we both get sort of, I don't know, between 6 to 10 different pieces of content out of this live. So it's not just one thing a month. It's actually turns into many things a month. So I would say part of the strategy is, it's okay, yes, commit to doing something, but look at how that particular type of content can actually feed all your other channels and other types of content, and how you can repurpose it and resplice it. And that actually might make it more of an attractive proposition.
Yay!
Cool. Brilliant. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for watching. We are going to be taking a break in December because we decided the third week in December is probably not the best time to be going live.
No.
So we will be back in January, on January the 19th. So thank you very much for
2024.
watching. Yes, 2024, scary. Thank you
Yeah,
very
exactly.
much for watching. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And yeah, you can connect with us on LinkedIn, of course.
Yes, yeah, connect with us on LinkedIn.
Obviously. Okay. Bye.
Bye.